Hello there, everyone. How are you doing today? I am so glad to be here with you all on this Monday morning. For those of you joining for the very first time, my name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And I just love doing all things that relate to strengthening professionals, particularly professional women, entrepreneurs, business owners, business leaders, as they grow in their careers and their lives and their businesses, especially in terms of being able to leverage their personal networks, their professional networks to help them in achieving their long-term goals sustainably and, most importantly, authentically. So that said, I'm super excited to keep going with our current theme. We're doing a theme that started, I think, last week, and we're exploring the topic of uh, networking as a professional growth tool, because a lot of times people just think of networking as, oh, I need to quote network in order to get my next job. And you are horribly underutilizing your professional network if that's all you utilize it for. All right. So I believe the first time we talked about leveraging your network to help you with making difficult decisions, which is something that I highly recommend you go check that one out, because it's something that's really important for us as we move forward, to know that we're not in a bubble, that we don't have to do things by ourselves. And a lot of times the expertise, the support we need is literally a phone call or an email away. So I highly recommend you go check that one out. This week, we're going to be talking about exploring your network for skill building opportunities. And this is yet another thing where you'll really underutilize for our own growth, because so often we go to one of two places when we need to learn a new skill, explore some new opportunity in some different way. And here's what we do. We go to our, if you work for someone, we go to our current employer and ask them for permission to go learn something, right? And they say yes or no, and then you have to move forward. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Or we go to the internet. I mean, we just start Googling, all right? And that's what we do. You know, my daughter, my college age daughter says, you know, Google is a thing. And it is true. There's so much we can learn from there. However, or that we can be exposed to from there. However, that difficulty in sifting through what's good and what's not is very time consuming. And if you are a person who does not have that amount of time, you could either, number one, give up and just walk away and be like, forget it, I'll just put that off to another time, which means 3, 6, 12 months later, you're still back in the same position that you were to begin with. Or you rush, you feel pressured, and you go explore and you go join up with something that you really did not give enough time to be able to explore, to find out whether it's good quality as far as the content. And then, especially if you pay for it, then you feel obligated to go ahead and go through with it. Okay. Neither one of those are ideal situations. But what is so often right under our nose that we underutilize every single day is our professional network. Now, think about this. You have a group of people that you are connected with, whether it's someone you've known for 3 months or 30 years, because my network has people in both of those categories, right? So from 3 months to 30 years worth of relationships that you could tap into. Think about that. Just think about that. Even if you only could tap into, let's say, relationships from the last 12 months to 5 years, what is the depth of relationships that are there? What is the depth of knowledge that is within that group of people? And yet, instead of tapping into them first, we go running around answering random, Facebook ads or, email ads looking for help, when the help that we often need or can get access to, quality help, is right under our noses. Okay? So that's what we're talking about today, is that you don't have to settle. First things first, you don't have to settle. Okay? You can have quality growth opportunities that you can seek and use to support you in your professional growth, right? And that you can, plan forward as a result of it. So let's think about this. If you have a professional network, which we all do or should have, the question is whether you're nurturing it. That is a completely different conversation that I invite you to go check any of my other coffee chats out to talk about how we nurture our relationships. Or just DM me and I can send you a couple of things. But presuming that you have been nurturing your network, by that I mean you're staying in regular contact with people, you're sharing information, you're sharing resources with people, you are actively engaged. All right. So presuming you are actively engaged in your network, here's the reality. It's like you don't have to settle for any old thing, because even within your network, first of all, you can put out the ask, right? You have to put out the ask. And when you put out the ask, you want to make sure that you're targeted, that you're specific, and that you're open. You have to make sure that you're targeting the right audience, even within your group. So let's say you're not just putting it out there. Let's say if you're on LinkedIn, you're not just putting up some random message to to everyone in the universe. Like, start with the people in your network specifically. Or maybe you have a group of folks that you have regular contact with through an email chain. Okay. Whatever it is, make sure you target it, or if you need to narrow it because you know that there's a specific group of people who may have access to the knowledge or the skills that you need. All right. Even though I don't want you to limit yourself on that. Then you have to make sure you're specific. This is where a lot of people fall down. People may say, yeah, hey, this is really great. I would love, do you have, if y'all know anyone who can help me, get X type of job. That's not the situation we're looking for. But let's say if you know anyone who can help me with public speaking, right? That is very general and very broad. But if you get more specific, which is, hey, I am scheduled to do a keynote in October, and I need someone who can get me up to speed and help me prepare a speech for that event in the next 30 days, please send them my way. Okay. That's the specificity that I'm talking about, right? Be more specific. I know just recently, I think it was about a week or two ago, within my own network, one of my professional colleagues was needing some space for a small retreat. So it was a small staff-based retreat, and they needed to have something away from their regular office space so they could spread out. And so they put out a request she put out a request to a network to say, hey, I'm looking for space. Here's about how many people. We're willing to move around within this geographic area. And, low to no cost would be great, right? Do you see the levels of specificity that was there? That helps people to narrow down what it is they might even offer to you. All right. And then once you do that, then you have to be open to receive what comes your way. All right. I didn't say you have to be open to take everything, but you do have to be open to receiving opportunities, advice, criticism even that you weren't anticipating, or maybe that you had not even thought about. But you do have to be open to receive it. Why? Because it came from someone that you willingly connected with within your network, and you know that it has some level of it's just not random from some random person out there. That's where I'm getting, right? So we want to make sure that you're doing that when you put out that ask. So this is that point of, you don't have to settle for any old thing from any old body. You have someplace sound to start. Okay. I know that when I have reached out to some folks, it's really fascinating. Sometimes I think we forget who's in our professional networks. Who are the people we've built up relationships with? This is why it is completely worth doing a little exploration on any given day. Just once a month, once a quarter, something like that, to kind of check out and see where people are, because people move around, what they've changed to do, or remembering what people have in their background. A lot of times that's where we miss out on some growth opportunities, because we limit people to what we know that they do right now, as opposed to considering the whole wealth of their professional experience that backs them up. I have a colleague and a friend who I chit chat with about this all the time, because we talked about it one time when she was putting out a resume, and I was looking at it and I was like, hey, you have some stuff missing from this. And she's like, yeah, but I didn't think it was relevant. I'm like, it's all relevant, because the level of experience that you bring to the table has so much more depth to it. And you're cutting your nose off to spite your face when you eliminate that from the conversation. So don't eliminate people's background from the conversation, because just because someone is not working in the space that you need help in right now does not mean that they don't keep up with other people who are. This is the beauty and the magic of leveraging your network in order to grow in your skill building, in your learning opportunities. Okay. The other thing that we already started talking about is the quality, right? You already have access to quality because of the people in your network. Now, sometimes we may need to, weed out, to do a little weeding in our professional, relationships. That happens. Okay. It does happen. But overall, we know that these folks already have something to bring to the table, as opposed to starting with complete strangers. Okay. So again, it's the opportunity to dig a little deeper with people you already know or already have exposure to, rather than taking that random risk on something or someone you know nothing about. Now, that is not to say that there aren't, that you can't come across some good quality opportunities, programming, resources out there, right? You can. But when it's supported by the fact of, let's say you go do a search on your own, but what if you put it out to people in your network and say, hey, I'm looking for help with X. I have found these 3 or 4 things. What do you think about them? Right? So it's not just going and asking them for, hey, I need help with X, but it's even a matter of, I've done a little homework, I've done a little research, what do you think about that? And helping them help you weed through that information. These are the things that I'm talking about when we are looking to learn, to grow, and to be able to use our network to leverage that, so that we can build using quality opportunities, using quality resources in order to get us to the next level. Okay. I know there's so many things I'm thinking through right now. One of the things that I know that I do is I have a select group, and this is an private email that I've created. And it's a list of leaders that I reach out to quarterly or so few times a year when I am looking to, build out new opportunities or platforms to speak at, or just keep people in the know about what it is I'm doing, or to ask them if they are aware of opportunities that might be helpful or useful to me. Right? This is a small list. It is not a list of hundreds. It is probably a list of less than 50 people that I have specifically cultivated to be able to send out these specific types of ask. Right? Now, it takes a little bit of work to do that, right? You have to keep it up. You have to identify, you have to think about, okay, is this someone that I want to connect with regarding these types of issues, or is that better suited for something else? All of those things. But once you take that time to do that work, then it's just rinse and repeat, right? When you're reaching out. Okay, so think about that. What are the things that you need help with? What are the things you need to learn more about? So to build up your own skills in. I don't care what level of leadership, what level of management, whatever it is that you're doing. There's always something else that can be on the table for you to learn, for you to need to be able to move forward on, so that you can grow in exponential ways. So let's move forward with that public speaking example I mentioned earlier, right? You've got people who are newbies to public speaking and completely uncomfortable, to those who are very comfortable but may need some other specialized support, right? I'm probably on that end of things. But that doesn't mean there aren't things that I can't learn. I mean, literally, I picked up a book. It's called The Referable Speaker, that I've had on my bookshelf for a while, but I hadn't started reading it. I opened it up and I started reading it this weekend. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it just completely opened my eyes up to an approach on how that I deal with some of my public speaking opportunities. And now I'm like, can't wait to finish it so that I can put that practice into play. Okay. Now, I don't remember exactly where, but I am probably pretty sure that came through to me either on someone's list, right, who shared it, or from a search that I did, but more likely from someone's list. Someone mentioned, hey, this book is great, or this is a good opportunity, this is a good source of information, or a good source of some strategies. Okay, those are the things that can really build. So it could be as simple as a book, or it could be even more in depth when it comes to maybe a program, a professional coach to help you, whatever, an advisor who can help you to leverage opportunities to think through things, to maybe it's something about learning how to communicate better as a professional, whatever it is. These are all things that I know I could reach out into my network, and my network is always expanding. So it's a matter of refreshing that, taking a look at it to see. One of the things that was really funny when I was first started looking at talking about doing some work with writing and exploring things, and I had to remember, I was like, oh my gosh, guess what? Someone that I have a relationship with is a book editor. So how about you start there? Start there. And then as I left myself open to advice and counsel from that person, then other opportunities, other people I've learned from that, helped me to explore and ask other people who have written books who are in my network, like, hey, who did you use to support? What things did you use to help you in that writing process? Right. And so that you gain and expand the level of resources that you have to support your goal. So it's not just about narrowing to one thing. It may be about gathering up and then providing a safety net of things, of resources, of opportunities as you go from one level to the next to help you to move forward. There's so many ways to think about this, okay? Which then leads to also putting that plan in place. And when you're talking about putting that plan in place, this means you are actively planning for your next learning opportunity. So if you're planning for that, if you know that, you know what, I am really about to build out my speaking opportunities in the next 6 to 12 months, I really need to get some support behind that. So maybe I need someone who can hook me up with a great speakers bureau, if that's something you're interested in. Or maybe you need some support in how you communicate and saving your voice. So maybe you need a voice coach. Or maybe you need someone who's really good at helping you narrow down your presentations and can help you to build them out to be what you need them to be for workshops versus for keynotes. There's a wealth of things to consider, right? But if you plan for it, you can put that request out to your network and say, hey, here's what I'm looking at doing in the next month, next 6 months, next 12 months. And I'm looking for those things that will help me to support and growing towards fulfilling and meeting that goal. And when you gather up those things, then guess what you can do? Your whole, year worth of professional development opportunities may be sitting in your inbox because you will get a wealth of resources that you can tap in as you explore each and every next level that you're working on. That's when you want to be deliberate, right? We're talking about planning that out. So if you know that there are some things that are coming your way, if you know that there are some things that you need for your own personal and professional growth in order to achieve at the next level, then start considering what those things are specifically and start putting the request out now. The time to put the request out is now, before you are in the midst and absolutely need it. I always put that out there. It's not to wait to the last minute, but before you are absolutely going to need whatever support that is, so that you can grow, so that you have time to incorporate it into the work that you're doing, so that you have time to ask questions and get to some level of depth. All right. So that's a part of that plan. Any one of my clients who know that we've worked through that strategic career action or business action plan know that that's a piece of the work that we do. Like when I'm looking at the people and the places and the opportunities that are coming your way, who can you tap into to help you support what it is you're trying to do next? And that will feed you if not the information or the skill that you need specifically, they will feed you to access to the next person, to the next organization that will help you to achieve those goals. Okay? That is it, man. That got a little rich there. I'm sure I could spend a little bit more time. I'm curious to hear from you about what you think about exploring your network for skill building opportunities, the types of things that you've had to tap in for. I'm really interested in that. Let me know what you've had to tap into your network for, or those things that you think might not be appropriate and whether you have some concerns about tapping into your network for help with. I'd really be interested in hearing about that as well. And speaking of tapping into your network, don't hesitate to reach out. Next week, a week from tomorrow, there is a workshop that I'm hosting, the masterclass, and it's the networking masterclass on building your profitable professional relationships that last. It is a free masterclass. I invite you to get registered. You can go to the website, patriciavhayes.com, to check it out and to get registered for it. And if for some reason you can't attend in person, you can definitely register and get a copy of the recording that you will have access to for several days afterwards. Okay? Thanks everyone for joining me for Coffee Time, and the Authentic Networking version. And I look forward to following up with you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.